Presented by Gillette Mach 3 Turbo Champion, the only razor used by the Gillette Young Gun. And brought to you by the Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. By Coca-Cola, let's make it real. And by Dodge, you can take life as it comes or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. "34 laps complete. Jeff Gordon, your leader. Second place, Tony Stewart, working his way underneath Ryan Newman. And two ex-open wheelers duking it out for second here. Stewart prevails. Watch Craig Biffle against two really good cars, Rusty Wallace and Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Rusty kind of slid up in front of Jimmy there, and when he did, he probably messed them both up. And Biffle was wide open.
Took full advantage of the situation.
Gordon, our leader. You see Greg Biffle there in fifth, and now he's going to have a time holding off his Roush Ford stablemate, the Nextel Cup point leader, Matt Kenseth.
Matt Kenseth in his 17 car. He's been getting about a car a lap here for the last few laps. He's on his teammate right now, Greg Biffle, in the 16 car. Kenseth right now in 6th. Biffle in the 16 in 5th. Matt Kenseth's car looking a lot like Tony Stewart's car, the 20, right around the bottom of the racetrack. He got trapped behind the lap car of Andy Hillenberg that just came out a few laps ago.
You know, to show you how fast these cars are, particularly when you're up front, and what these guys like to talk about is clean air. That's Jeff Gordon, and he just put a lap on Ricky Rudd, who is running back in the 34th position. So the cats are getting around here in a hurry and catching up with the rear of the field.
From Rudd's Ford Racing onboard camera, that's Jeff Gordon disappearing in the distance. 8th place, Jimmy Johnson, and the man who's been runner-up the last 2 weeks, Casey Kane, in that number 9 Dodge. Now, the fellow who used to drive that car, Bill Elliott, first race he has not been in Atlanta in a quarter century. He's running a limited schedule. He's here. He has been Casey Kane's driver coach, but not in the race today at his hometown track.
This was just one of those races where it just seemed different without Bill Elliott being introduced at driver introduction. You know, Daytona was one of them, the Daytona 500. I think here's another one. It just seemed different without his name being called out.
I know where he is.
I do too.
I found him.
He's next door in the PRN ring.
I asked him if he was trying to work his way up here, and he said, "Oh no, I don't. That's not for me." But I see he's right next door.
See Kurt Busch in the 97 car. He's pulling right up behind Casey Kane in the 9, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. A lot like his teammate Matt Kenseth. He's running right around the bottom of the racetrack. Like all the Roush cars are working good on the bottom, and he can put his foot in it and he can just stay in it. So he goes by Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now. That was a battle for 10th.
Now right behind them is Jamie McMurray in 12th place. Half a dozen Dodges in the top dozen of this race at 40 laps. Matt?
McMurray on the move, started the day in 22nd. Jamie will tell you that he and crew chief Donnie Wingo have great chemistry. Jamie will start a sentence, Donnie will finish it. He said, though, you tend to raise your expectations when you run well. 2 straight top 5s, but they've struggled all weekend. He sat down last night, took out a sheet of paper, made a list of 11 things, including that steering box that Larry Mack talked about, and said, this is what we need to do to fix our race car. This morning they compared their sheets, almost identical, except for that steering box. Jamie said that if we don't run well, it's not going to be because of the steering box. Even if it is, I'm not going to give Donnie that we should have fixed that. Right now the car a little free from the center off, but he is on the move, Jeannie.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about Kurt Busch making the engine change this weekend. There was a scare for the 25 of Brian Vickers on Saturday. An oil shower caused by a broken drive shaft right at the end of the early morning practice session. It punctured the oil tank. The good news was the engine was okay, so they left it alone because he wanted to start second. NASCAR gave him a little extra time to work on the car on Saturday and again this morning, but they can't wait for a break to work on the car again, complaining that the car is still very, very, very loose as we watch him drop down the speed charts. Dick?
Kevin Harvick had a great start to his Cup career here. In March of 2001, he won his first ever start, then finished 3rd that November. But today, he's having a tough day. He started in 8th position. He is on pit road right now. The problem with the car, tight, very tight. They've got to fix it so he can drive it.
Let's explain explain the timing of this pit stop, Darrell, why he would stop right now?
Well, based on what I saw yesterday in the truck race, plus he just went a lap down, so you might as well come to pit road, get some tires, and hopefully make that back up. But what I saw in the truck race yesterday, at about 50, 55 laps, the right rears were gone. And so he probably is not too far away from making his normal pit stop, but the timing was right. He got lapped, come to the pits.
Yeah, I think these teams are about 10 or 12 laps away from that green flag stop. Now, what Kevin Harvick and that group really needs is to make this full cycle of green flag stops and not get trapped by a caution.
The man who just turned the fastest lap of the race thus far, Casey at the bat. The 23-year-old phenom who's finished second 2 weeks in a row, Casey Kane. 44 laps complete in the Golden Corral 500 presented by Gillette Mach 3 Turbo.